I am deep in the annals of your mind. I am deep in the annals of your... Hey everybody, welcome back to the Honey and Absinthe After Hours podcast. We're your hosts. I'm Vincent, a background designer for the Hollywood animation industry.
And I'm Janet, the ex-Disney artist turned independent creator, and this is a podcast about all things art, business, and whatever we feel like.
Now today we're going to talk about why live streaming is harmful for your mental health.
But before we get into it, make sure to like, touch, jingle all our little bells and buttons over there. Please and thank you.
There are little tiny buttons over there. We need you to touch them. Thank you very much. How are they looking today?
You're looking great. You're going to have a great day. You look great.
I hope you feel great.
You definitely feel great.
And it's a wonderful Monday.
Because you're here with us.
Now, Janet, why are we talking about this subject? Are you even into live streaming, Twitch streaming, any of that type of stuff?
So I wasn't.
Oh.
Until recently, I've been watching a lot of Twitch debates and live streaming debates. And I wanted to talk about it because it's been on my mind.
But first, I have noticed that there are a few among us who are from Arizona. And I want to say hello. And I noticed that a lot of you are a little bit older. And I will try to, as a millennial, to explain what all of this is. So, live streaming. Live streaming began as, I think it's like a video game thing. Like, I think, top Twitch streamers, this platform called Twitch, people would like live stream themselves, basically play a video game live in front of an audience, and the audience gets to like type stuff and talk and chat and heckle or praise or whatever it is. And this small niche, this small community grew and grew to the point where it wasn't just about playing video games. It was also playing video games and reacting to people playing video games. And then it evolved to like people reacting to YouTube videos. And then there are these, I think recently, past few years, there are these new fangled things called thoughts. Some would call them Thoughttianas. And these are women who dress up scantily clad. And you could also tip in these platforms too.
Right, that's how you make money.
So that this is why, like, I guess it incentivizes certain people to go, oh, okay, I could make a little change like that. And yeah, and I think because of that, the Twitch guidelines have become more and more strict, I think.
Yeah,
right?
Because a lot of people have been abusing it for basically to take advantage, like, you're a pretty girl, you probably do some, what's a euphemism? sex work on the side, like OnlyFans and stuff. But you can't, like, Twitch doesn't allow that, so then they'll do, like, a hot tub stream where they're, like, in their bikini in a hot tub.
Yeah, they just, like, skirt right across the guidelines of being banned.
And then they do something like, oh, follow my OnlyFans.
I'm selling bathwater.
Whatever. So, yeah, now...
So now we have progressed generations and generations to the point that we're having debates on Twitch, and it's starting to become an entire industry where people's fans and another person's fans cross-pollinate, and then there's tons of tipping going on. Oh, you had a good point against that, dude. Ooh, and then
yes,
tip.
It's
okay. I hope we filled you in.
Because, like, what was crazy to me when I first started watching a lot of this stuff maybe 2 years ago. Partly because we wanted to do live streaming. It has been
2 years ago. Yeah, and our thing was like we didn't know how to do it. I think we didn't want to do the drawing and talking thing.
Yes.
That's for sure what we didn't want to do.
Yes.
But we also didn't want to do the like looking up topical subjects and talking about them. I didn't want to become a news show either.
Right, yeah.
So we would sit on it and be like, oh, one day we'll do some sort of live stream, because we just don't know what to do with it. Nor are we, I think we're at this point where I'm not sure if we even want to do it anymore.
I don't think I want to. Now that, like, I'm glad we sat on it. Because, like, at the time we were an art channel specifically where I had just quit Disney and I wanted to promote Honey and Absinthe as a clothing brand / art brand, art influencer brand, I guess, where I would draw, you can commission me, I'll make art vlog videos. It was all centered around this idea of art because that was my identity at the time. And a lot of people, if you watch Gary Vee, he tells you do everything. Do everything, like literally do everything until you like collapse. So one of the things I noticed a lot of people were having a lot of success with was live streaming. And they'll like live streaming them draw and they'll talk while they're drawing. And so we were like considering doing that because sometimes we would do that for Instagram or even TikTok occasionally, very rarely. So we even got a cam link, which I think we still have.
Oh, yeah. I bet that thing's out of date at this point.
Yeah.
It's probably 2 or 3 generations above this camera thing that we got a long time ago. Man.
Yeah. And when I get really into social media, I treat it like most things, and I do a lot of research. I want to excel at anything that I decide to spend time doing. So I went to Twitch and I saw all the different genres. And obviously there were like the video game live streaming stuff where people are playing like Skyrim and then you're just watching them play Skyrim.
Or they role play themselves as a character
or whatever, yeah.
Or Fortnite or something.
That's what I was used to. That's like, oh, I know what that is. But then I saw this whole just chatting section, and it's literally just people chatting with the chat. So you can literally just watch someone sit there, and they're talking to their chat, and you can talk to them through the chat, and then that became in the just chatting section. I think there's also like the debate section where like. Now it's 2 people just sitting there, but these 2 people are having some kind of Zoom conversation and they're debating. One of the craziest things that I saw is there are like study with me.
Oh man!
Type live
they
streams.
Are literally just sitting there studying not even paying attention to the camera at all. Yeah. And you, like a fly on the wall, just watch them.
Yeah, it's very voyeuristic, very kind of creepy.
But I can understand that some people might like be studying themselves,
right? And they want
feel less lonely.
Company, yeah.
They want company.
Same with the just chatting thing. I think it's the just chatting section. I think is for lonely people who need other people,
human interaction,
like, hey, to each their own, whatever. I thought it was fascinating. Janet
and I just haven't lived that type of life when we were young. Yeah. We did not use the internet like that, that's for sure.
We grew up with the S-side. Yeah, we still played on the street and
touch grass.
Yes, potentially had the chance of getting kidnapped still. So yes, since then, that was 2 years ago, I kind of like fell off of it when we decided like we wanted to do a lot of things, TikTok, YouTube, whatever. It became more important to make YouTube videos than the idea of like figuring out this live streaming thing. Fast forward to like fairly recently, I have been watching a lot of Destiny streams. Destiny is this Twitch streamer commentator person who he's people call him like a leftist political commentator.
Oh, right. And they debate about all sorts of topics. And lately what's been catching a lot of attention is debating about politics or talking about politics while you're playing Mario Kart or something ridiculous.
Right. So it's usually like they're playing a video game and they're talking about politics at the same time. And sometimes they're playing a video game, they're debating someone as they're playing a video game for you to watch because you gotta watch something. You don't like, they assume you're too ADD to look at people's faces. Yeah, so they're playing video games, and meanwhile they're having this like intense debate about either politics or some kind of culture thing. Yes, I've been watching a lot of that. Mostly Destiny, but also Mr. Girl. And if you don't know who Mr. Girl is, he's the guy who's famous for his cuties review, basically. He's the guy that when the very controversial movie Cuties came out on Netflix, he reviewed it. A lot of people piled on him and called him the P word. How do I say this without dinging the YouTube algorithm?
I think that was well. That was done
P-word?
well.
Okay.
I think people could... I hope people get that, at least.
Because he defended the movie in a way while also criticizing it. And when I discovered him, I very much kind of most people's first first impression of him is, oh, it's just some edgelord person trying to get a rise out of people or whatever.
And
or whatever.
I don't know. I don't remember if he's been doing this for a while, but this is like, it felt like there were a whole new generation of YouTube people, or at least like internet personalities coming out, and he was one of them. And I felt like at the time everyone was trying to do whatever they could for attention.
Right.
So I was like, oh, well, you know.
So I just like forgot about him after everyone piled on. And like, a little bit after that, I got recommended like some other of his videos, and turns out he had been doing YouTube for like 3 years prior. So he has like a huge backlog of content, and I never gave him the chance until, I don't know, there was like some other video that came out, and I watched it and I realized like, oh, okay, I think at this point he's been growing a lot, and I think a lot of people misunderstood him and like jump to conclusions with him, which honestly I don't blame us or them. It's just that video was a lot to handle when it started blowing up. So a lot of people have been debating him because he's this like controversial figure. Everyone knows him as this cuties guy. So everyone, Destiny and the Destiny leftist Twitch debate crew, the entire like genre of Twitch debate has been talking to him and having these like debates with him, and these are amazing, fascinating 3 to 5 hour long conversations that I have been using in the place of like audiobooks and podcasts. And
I walk in from whatever I'm listening to, and then I walk in and I'm like getting water or something, and I listen to what you're listening to, and I'm going like, what
is happening?
It's like
the most inappropriate conversation.
The wildly inappropriate conversation. And I'm like, what? And then like I listen a little bit more, and then I'm just like, whoa. I guess I feel like I don't think that this is just for effect anymore. You know what I mean?
Right. Like the controversialness.
Yeah.
He's trying to like really get you to think deeply about these kind of sort of controversial topics. So I've been watching a lot of this. Mr. Girl has been in the depths of my mind. I just randomly, I don't intentionally want to think about the things that are being talked about, but it just, like, some days, like, the point of it all just, like, happens in my mind, and I go like, oh, so that's what he meant, all that stuff. When I first started watching this stuff, it was fascinating because I was not used to this type of content at all. I was, like, very new to it. Like, literally, I would say, like, a few months ago.
How would you describe it? How would you describe it?
I took it as at face value when you're seeing two people have some kind of Zoom conversation. You think they're literally just talking to each other. And sometimes it'll get heated, sometimes it's friendly, sometimes it's funny, whatever. I just took it at face value. And then I became a lot more seasoned at watching this type of stuff than when I was first just watching it. So, like, all of this I realized was fake.
Oh. Like WWE type of fake.
Yes. So, like, what I realized after watching hours and hours and hours of this type of content is Twitch debaters, live streamer type people, they thrive on interpersonal drama. All this drama that you hear, like YouTube drama, this creator got into drama with this creator and whatever. Twitch people thrive on that specifically. So like they'll talk shit about this other creator, and then the other creator will hear about it and talk shit about that creator, and then they'll finally get on a stream together and like duke it out, and then the fans are all there, and they're there to eat popcorn and to watch the drama unfold. And then after the debate, they'll go back to their respective audiences, their own individual streams where it's just them talking to their audience, and they'll each go like, well, I own that person, and we totally won.
Oh man, just like a wrestling match,
right? Man. And then they'll like say some more shit, and then the fans will go over to the other stream and was like, did you hear so and so said this shit about you after your debate? And like they said all this stuff to egg them on to again debate and have this never-ending cycle of views. And like apparently so many people tuned in for the Amber Heard Johnny Depp thing, and I 100% believe that no one actually cares. People are just trying to like watch a real life reality TV show. Like I think they're thoroughly entertained by two train wrecks trying to go at each other, and I think that's just a aspect of human nature, that we are somehow like monkeys really interested in what other monkeys are doing to each other. And I think that's why that kind of Twitch stuff happens. And like you might be thinking, or because if I told myself this a few months ago, I'd be like, you are crazy. How can any of this be fake? That's borderline conspiratorial. Like they planned this. I'm like, yes, I 100% believe these people's, not only their personalities, but their relationships on camera aren't real. On camera, they might be like fighting or whatever, but behind the scenes, they're just like chumming it up because they know that like they have to fight for their audiences to like give them money and to give them views and all this stuff. And there's just so much about that is concerning to me, which thus is why I think live streaming is harmful to your mental health. Not just for the creators themselves. I don't think a lot of people can relate until you've actually tried becoming a creator. Like, I think so many people don't understand what it's like to be on the other side of the camera. They think they understand, but they don't until you do. I think it's a whole nother level when you start live streaming. And I think not only is the creator's mental health is like kind of messed with, your mental health, the person who's watching this, is messed with as well. Because, like I said, you're inclined to believe it's real. The way a TV show doesn't do that to you. A movie doesn't do that to you. You think these two people who are just having a normal Zoom conversation like you or I would have, why would they be acting? Why would it be fake? Why would it be so like it tricks the audience member into thinking, having a weird view of reality.
I think when we were growing up and we were watching reality TV, it was unspoken, but I think we all knew that most of what we're seeing is fabricated.
It's scripted.
There's an entire cast that needs to be fed behind the cast of Survivor every season.
Right.
You know, like this is fake. But there are a lot of people, I think, on the internet who don't realize or who don't give it much thought how fake and planned everything is.
Right. I think the reason why I was even able to tell that this was happening as I was literally becoming like a new viewer of like these Twitch live stream things to a more sophisticated viewer, at least more experienced, was because of Mr. Girl. Because when he came on the scene, his approach to it is fascinating. Because when you are used to internet personalities turning on their personalities for camera and behaving in a very exaggerated, extreme way, when literally everyone is doing it, you think that's normal. But when a normal person comes on with a bunch of fake people, and then they're just trying to be normal, suddenly the fake people look extremely, extremely fake. And you can see, it's like you see the Matrix. You see the inner workings of what's happening, and then it's really hard to continue to be fans of these fake people.
I crave finding the most authentic person.
Me too.
On the internet. I think it's like a quest to see, and I think it's kind of like this weird unspoken challenge between all the people who like to do this type of content, that like I crave it to the point where even I like to make it. Right. Like I really like that feeling of someone's not like bullshitting me.
Yes.
You know? I think a lot of people are surprised, like you said, I think in a previous podcast, that like if they see us, it's not really any different to how we behave on camera.
Yeah.
I think it's been more exaggerated back in the day because we didn't know what the fuck we were doing.
Yeah.
But hard. Like now it's truly, I'm really comfortable with this person I've become on camera. It's only taken me almost like 2.5, 3 years.
Yeah.
But I am finally at this point where like this thing I'm not embarrassed to show to you.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like I think a while back, a lot of people, it became pretty well known, I guess, that a lot of YouTube creators, real personalities and their on-camera personalities are like totally different, and it became very like normal to just expect that and to know that and to not feel like you've been lied to. But I really am happy that like, I think no matter what, when you turn on a camera, you do feel like you're performing a little bit. It's really, really, really hard to get so used to the camera that you're not doing that. And I'm glad that we've gotten to the point where like the performance is like, I would say like 10%. It's 10% performance, 90% mostly just
conversation.
Me. Yeah.
And this intimacy between me and you.
Yeah, which means like, I guess to a lot of people it might not be as entertaining. I think Mr. Girl's content isn't for everyone, because most people might not want to sit through a 3-hour conversation looking at his face. But I find it really entertaining and engaging because it's just so like, whoa. And I think what makes it like, how his approach feels more authentic is he's not afraid to shy away. I mean, he's not afraid. He does not shy away from making himself look bad because he's just being honest. And that has always been my approach as well.
Our approach.
Yeah. That like.
But I would look at like, because I feel like he was up to some hijinks while we were up to some hijinks too.
Yeah.
And like I would think like people. I don't think what we did was very edgy at all, because then I'd be looking at what Mr. Girl's doing, and I'm like, Jesus, that is the epitome of edgy. Mm-hmm. Like that's like, we would always have conversations about this creator, but we would always be like, we cannot talk about this creator.
And today was finally the day where I felt like, one, safe enough to talk about him because he's grown to a certain size, but also two, like I don't want to feel like I can't talk about a certain person and their work because of public perception of them. Even in a, like, I don't want to feel like I'm censoring myself in that way, I guess. And I just, a lot of people who have talked to him always start with like, they appreciate how authentic he is, because for them, as a fellow Twitch streamer who has been doing it far longer than him, they can't. They physically cannot do it.
How do you feel when you get those types of comments?
What do you mean? When people say I'm authentic?
Yeah.
I feel like no matter what, there's some kind of parasocial relationship that I have with people. that I can't control, because as authentic as I try to be, I can't show you all of my life, and you don't know what I'm actually like. You don't know. You think you know how you would behave if you were around me, but it's very different if you were actually around me, how you would actually behave and what you would actually think of me. And I always feel like you're lying. Like, if someone says they love me, I say you're lying. If someone thinks they hate me, I also think you don't know me. You don't know any, like, we could be best friends if like you don't know. It makes me very uncomfortable, the parasocial relationship that I have. But it's just a reality. And I think it's just like managing people's expectations. Like, I don't know you like that. When people say they love me, I go like, you don't love me. And then when people say they hate me, I'm like, good. I'm more comfortable with people hating me than with people loving me. I don't know what, like, I'm very uncomfortable with people being like, oh my god, I relate so much to you. Like, oh my god, why?
You're like Neil Peart. He said in the documentary, the Rush drummer, Neil Peart, said, like, it's not like he's being an asshole. It's just like all that attention is just, he doesn't like it. Yeah. Makes him uncomfortable. Yeah. Makes him sick to his stomach, it seems.
Makes me very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And I realize, like, when you watch a lot of his other content, especially if you come from a creative, artistic background like us, you realize Mr. Girl's not being an introvert. He's not being provocative just to be provocative. It's art. He's making art. He's making commentary. He's making, I mean, if you understand what real performance art is, I guess, but it's not performative. Like, I think the same way, like, when you are a painter and you have a subject that you are very passionate about, let's say you want to do a painting that brings light to climate change or whatever. You make a painting, it may or may not be provocative, but you want people to see your opinion of, I don't know, climate change or whatever topic it is that you're painting about, you're making art about. And I think his art is his YouTube videos, and they're really fascinating in the way a lot of, I feel like, independent films are. A lot of it is uncomfortable because I think the important topics are uncomfortable to talk about, and I think to be truly honest about certain things requires you to be uncomfortably honest about your opinions and the stuff no one is talking about. And that's what a lot of, like, modern art is. Like, if you go to the MoMA, a lot of it is uncomfortable. Like, a lot of it is trying to get you to think and to feel and whatever. And I think a lot of people who view his art, his films basically, don't know how to watch that kind of art in a way. Because I watched it and I was like, oh, okay. I watch a lot of independent film in my life. There's a lot of uncomfortable movies out there. If you are offended by Mr. Girl, you haven't seen nothing. You haven't seen, there are some questionable movies out there that I am surprised, like, I'm just surprised, like, people react as strongly as they do to his art. And I'm just like, oh god, you guys need to watch more things. You need to watch some Haneke. You need to watch some Lars von Trier. Yeah. You need to, like, watch some cinema of, like, some messed up stuff, and then you're gonna look at Mr. Girl content and you're gonna be like, oh, this is tame.
It's edgy for the internet,
right?
Is what I think it is.
That's like,
it's like, whoa,
right?
Almost like he's like the Haneke of the internet.
Kind of, yeah, kind of. Even then, like, I feel like even he does not go as far as Haneke does. I think it feels like he goes really far because it's him being the talent. Like, it's clear,
really explicit, right?
Like, it's not an actor. Like, it's him. I think when you're watching a movie, you're like, well, that's an actor. That's an actor doing horribly violent things or awful things. But, like, when it's, like, you as a YouTuber, like, people respond differently, I guess. So I think one of the most amazing debates, I guess, that I saw that like is an example of what I'm talking about how authentic versus inauthentic he is and other Twitch streamers are was
in an inauthentic internet personality versus what you would say an authentic internet personality.
Yes. He was talking to Lauren Southern.
Who is Lauren Southern? Sorry, I got tongue twisted.
Lauren Southern is most known for, I think, some very white nationalist type content back in the day.
During the Charlottesville stuff.
I think that's around that time. She made a video with a thumbnail that was basically great replacement theory stuff about like it's very anti-Semitic, very like, oh, we don't want people to replace us, that kind of stuff. And then she went on a boat to stop a ship that was allegedly bringing aid to migrant people, something like that. And then she got into a lot of trouble for it because turns out it literally was that, but she thought it was like some kind of like illegal immigration trafficking situation or whatever. It was just, it's a mess.
Our taxpayer dollars actually doing things.
Right. Yes. Surprisingly.
This is an illegal operation. No, this is actually paid for by the United States.
Yeah. And it was so fascinating because in the conversation, Mr. Girl was just like, why are you doing this? Why are you virtue signaling to your audience how much you are not friends with me and how much you don't like me? And then she's like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, I'm just debating like I normally do. And he's like, okay, but like, I don't believe you right now. Like, you're pretending as if you're making me out to be like some awful human being. And you're pretending to be better than me in a certain way, more than you actually think. Like, he doesn't mind if she actually thinks she's better than him. But it's the fact that she doesn't. That, like, it was some kind of performative thing that she was doing for her audience. And then she just could not for the life of her understand what he was talking about. And then he was like, before this conversation happened, when we were like just chatting, before this, like the stream, when
the cameras were off,
you treat me different than when when the cameras are on. So you're lying right now, you're performing. And then she was like, well, yeah, but like I don't know how else to be. And when he asked her about like these very, very controversial things, that she kind of sort of walked back, but not really, because she's older now, and she's like, well, I don't necessarily know if I believe in that stuff anymore. But then she just wouldn't say it like that, you know, like, because she said like she doesn't believe in apologizing, because it feels very self-flagellating, when a lot of people on the internet have this way of virtue signaling and being like hurting yourself and criticizing yourself just to be accepted by the masses. And she didn't want to do that, but to a point where like she would not even just say like, oh, I was young and dumb and I don't know if I would have done that again now, or maybe that was incredibly racist or awful or whatever. But she just would not say it. It seemed like that's what she was trying to say, but she would not say it. So we don't actually know if that's what she thinks. And seeing this back and forth of like Miss Girl just be like, just be honest, just be fucking honest with me. Why is it so hard to put down your mask? And then at the end of the day, he was like, you can even just say, I don't know. And then she's like, I guess that's my answer then, like, I don't know. And like, it was the most honest sounding thing that I've heard her say in the entire conversation. And I was like, oh, so this is what normal, like,
This is what live streaming and the internet and being this type of personality does to you.
This is why I am not friends with other creators. Like, I don't know how, like, you might not believe me. You the audience member. You the hater. You the whatever. You might not believe me, but I literally do not know any other way of being. This is not a mask for me. No. Like, I'm not, like, acting. You can attest to this. I'm not acting. We're not different than how we are. But I know, because I know some creators who are not like that. I think that's not normal.
I think that's most creators.
Yeah, most creators have a mask. I think it's a protective thing. I think when you're a creator, it's very uncomfortable to show all of you to the world.
Yeah. I was like a fan of that Kind of Funny channel, and then they had like a falling out, and then they would always kind of peg themselves as being like best buddies and stuff. And then when shit went down, I would think like, oh, is this all fake, or how much of what I was seeing on the internet was actually real? And it was a moment where I didn't know. I thought I was watching like something that was real. I knew like, oh, I was very of the mind of like, oh yeah, reality TV is reality TV, but the internet, man, that's real, man. That's like real people doing real things, teaching you real things, and sharing real opinions. And no, I think like for the pursuit of fame, fortune, and whatnot, people do ridiculous stuff, and they don't want you to know about it because they know it helps them. It helps everybody who isn't you.
Right.
Everybody but you. You can't know, because if you do know, then I feel like the worry is like you're gonna see the smoke and mirrors, and you're not gonna want to participate in commerce anymore.
I have a sneaking suspicion that people have developed a mask, whether intentionally or unintentionally, because I think people are deathly afraid of you finding out that they're awful human beings. Because we have this conversation all the time that like people who know me still can't fathom that like I'm putting my real self online, and you always say it's because they can't, and then I go like, why not? And then you go like, can you even imagine it? Their real internal thoughts are going to get them so canceled.
Can you imagine any of the animation people on YouTube being authentic?
Their authentic selves. They're going to, like, people are going to see how giant of an asshole each and every one of you are. And I think that's why. It's like, I think one thing that I do appreciate, the people who do say that they relate to me and like me, is that they can somehow tell that, like, even though I swear and I'm trying to show you my whole self, which means I'm showing you the bad parts too, this is kind of as bad as I get. And I think for a lot of people, they're much worse. You know, like, I can be an asshole. I will swear, I'm not the best human being. I can be not empathetic sometimes. I can be mean. But, like, imagine other people. Imagine you the viewer, like the unfiltered stuff in your mind and your brain, and how awful you can be, and the weird, awful things that you say. Do you think you can put yourself honestly on the internet without getting canceled or at least hated? Like, I think people are deathly afraid of being hated. So I've been listening to Beyond Good and Evil by Friedrich Nietzsche. If you would like to also listen to philosophy books in your free time, head over to audibletrial.com/the Honey and Absinthe podcast. You can get one free audiobook. That's audibletrial.com/the Honey and Absinthe podcast. One of Mr. Girl's most recent live streams was with this vegan person. And there are two types of fakers on the internet who do this like live streaming debate thing. There's the kind that have like this really big personality, and they understand that their job is to entertain you. And then there's the other kind that they understand that their job is to be someone that you look up to. And this vegan, I can already tell from the beginning. The way he uses big words and the way he talks about philosophy. God, philosophers are the worst. They are the absolute worst. We have a few friends like this, and I hate them so much. I hate talking to them so much because I'm just like, just say what you mean. Just be direct. You don't have to use big words to just communicate your thoughts. So like, Mr. Girl's just trying to talk to him about like veganism and why the vegan is trying to convince him that like it's morally wrong to eat meat and kill animals and stuff like that, in this very like philosophical way, getting him to explain why Mr. Girl thinks that people don't have souls, that like, he's not religious and he doesn't believe that you have a soul, and when you die, like those like heady concepts. But then philosophers, they'll always ask why do you believe that, and then it's like, why do you believe the opposite? Like it's a belief. But then he'll use like logic and the scientific method to try to own you, and then I was just kind of like, this is not for anyone but himself. Intellectuals use big words to own you and to trick you and to like frustrate you and to be like, haha, I'm so much smarter than you. Look, audience, I am so smart, aren't I? And this whole time I just felt like I grew up with people like this, okay? People who would eventually go on to Harvard and Yale and Princeton and Brown and Columbia and all these Ivy League schools, and they wrote essays that were not very good, but were filled with these like high-level vocab words.
Esoteric language.
That just like, I was just kind of like, this is a persuasive essay. Can you please just write persuasively and not sucking up, like blowing smoke up your own ass? Like, your intent here is to inflate your own ego. It's not to actually communicate your thoughts. Or to persuade. Or to do anything remotely useful. And I just hate that, because I think a truly intelligent person, a truly smart person, doesn't do that. Doesn't feel the need to like step on you and to make you feel like they're intellectually superior.
They might want to talk like they're just one of you.
Yeah.
You know, because it's clear.
Yes.
Clarity.
It's clear, it's communicative, and they are trying to convince you or to at least get their point across without confusing you, because there's a lot of care in a conversation like that. Like when someone sees you as their equal and they want to just have a good conversation with you, they care about you and they care if you understand what you're saying. They don't just suddenly throw out like level 10 vocab words just to, I don't even know, like just to make themselves feel like, oh, I'm so smart. And I absolutely hate intellectuals. I think I have like a bias towards them, partly because of the way I grew up, but oh god, it aggravates me.
So what is your takeaway from the Lauren Southern versus Mr. Cole video? Debate, whatever the heck you want to call it.
It was not necessarily, okay, so my first takeaway was like, wow. Like,
because I feel like that podcast, that talk really resonated with us for like a couple days.
Right, yeah.
We were just like flabbergasted at how like people built their personalities on the internet, and they are incapable of being the person they are behind the camera, outside of the camera.
Yes. I think the fakeness was the thing that struck me first and foremost. I think it was a good reminder for me that nothing is real on the internet. That like 90%, like I don't blame people who think that I'm faking or whatever. Like
you should have that bias that everyone is faking.
Yes. I think 90% of the internet is like just so fake, and like, but that's a given. Like I have been learning this and relearning this over and over and over again. The longer I am on the internet, the more people I know, the more people's content that I consume. I am relearning all this stuff constantly and just going like, wow, I should have known. The second point is I learned from people's reaction to these types of conversations. I think what's more fascinating than people being fake on the internet, because at a certain point you go like, well, yeah, duh, like you're dumb for like not realizing that. I think it's people's reaction to, like, we are not watching the same movie, you and I. You and anybody else. We're the
audience?
Yes.
You're talking to the audience.
Yes. The audience, you, the royal you, everyone.
Who are watching us.
Who are just,
or listening to us.
Yeah. We're not watching the same movie through our eyes. We can have the same, we can be listening to the same conversation, watch the same movie, experience the same exact thing, and have completely different takeaways from it. And I think seeing the chat and other people react to Mr. Girl in particular, and the way other people respond to him, is fascinating. So
what did
like,
you discover?
there are some people who get really mad at Mr. Girl for behaving like he does, because he'll say things like, to, for example, to Lauren Southern, I don't believe you. I don't believe you dislike me as much as you are putting on. And I think you're putting this on for show. A lot of people will then go like, you don't know that. Like to Mr. Girl, like, you don't know that. You don't know that if she genuinely dislikes you because she thinks you're the P word. And so people think he's mind reading. People think he's egotistical or a narcissist or whatever, thinking like, oh, this guy thinks he knows what everyone's thinking, but no one knows what he's thinking. Whereas I see that and I go like, no, I think he's pointing out the obvious. He's doing the thing that I tend to do in a conversation, which makes people very, very uncomfortable. Point out and be very direct about something that they're feeling in the conversation. So if, for example, this has happened to me many times, and this is why I have had a lot of falling out relationships with people who I find very passive aggressive. If someone's being passive aggressive towards me, I'll be like, why are you being passive aggressive? And they're like, no, I'm not being passive aggressive. And I'm like, you're clearly mad at me right now. What's wrong? And then they'll go, I am not mad at you. I'm not. I'm just not. And I'm like, can you just tell me why you're mad at me? Because I'm a big girl. I can handle the fact that you're mad at me. You're clearly mad. Just tell me. And so like, he does that. And people perceive that as him being egotistical, him being narcissistic, him being whatever. And people will be on like Lauren Southern's side, or they think him being direct is being mean, or being a troll, or being a bully, or he's being performative. They don't believe that like certain things when he's just being honest. And I go like, wow. People really buy other people's fake personas because it's easier to swallow. It's more comfortable. Like that person is being polite.
They can't even fathom them not being the person that they're behaving on the internet. It's like they can't even, they would never.
Right.
You know?
So like when people would call me mean, I'd be like, I'm just being honest. You think other people aren't saying the most worst awful things about me in their minds? They're just not saying it. They're pretending to be like, oh, woe is me, I'm such a victim, oh, protect me. And then they come in and attack me, and then I go like, and then they call me mean, and I'm like, that person is like controlling all of you, and like you don't see it. You're like simping for them, and then you're just coming to me and you're like, I'm not a simp, how dare you call me a simp or if it's Stan. And I'm like, oh my god, give me a break, leave me alone. And it's that kind of thing that I think it's because people are really uncomfortable with people being honest with their, like, yes, it is mean, but don't pretend like you're not. Don't pretend like everyone else isn't having the most worst thoughts about each other, and like they're just not saying it. They're being polite, but in my opinion, it's worse to be that polite, because God knows, like, what I appreciate about people who are like me, which is why I get along with people who are very direct, is at least if you dislike me, at least I know exactly how much you dislike me. If you're smiling to my face and you're like, ha ha ha, Janet, oh, whatever, I don't know if you're like the most racist person, awful human being, wants me to go die kind of person behind the scenes. You know, like my imagination can go like everywhere. But like if I know you're just kind of mean to me and you're an asshole and that's the extent of how much you dislike me, at least I know. I appreciate that. So I think at the end of the day, this whole live streaming thing, live streaming in particular, is really affecting people's view on reality. When I realized that.
What surprises me the most about these conversations is the chat and the people who call in to Mr. Girl or Destiny. And I think like, I mean, like, I think I mentioned before, I was like raised in an all boys school, you know, like I went to an all boys school for 3 years, and like, there's a lot of, baggage dudes have, especially when they're around other dudes, very like monkey primal, like, I need to dominate you type of bullshit. But like, I feel like, I can't relate to any of these new young people because like their relationships are so like I am of a generation where people still had fights in the alley,
right.
you know, and no, but like these days you want to fuck each other up and cancel each other on the internet. That's your fight in the alley.
Yes.
And I just cannot relate. And like the way, and it's always the age that gets me. Like these are like 18 to 25 year old callers to these streams, and I go like, dude, when I was 18, 25, I was trying to fucking make it in animation. Like, I was trying to fucking like do my best to survive, and I've had like relationships, and I've had like breakups, and I've had life things happen to me, but it doesn't feel like a lot of these people have, and they're like 23 or something.
Right.
It just boggles my mind. Like, what's going on with young people, you know, and the internet?
Mr. Girl had this amazing live stream thing called Advice and Confessions for a while, and he invited people to call in and have a conversation with him, and you are either confessing something or asking for advice. And so yeah, these are typically 18 to like 20, sometimes 30 year old people with mostly interpersonal relationship problems, asking for advice on how to deal with it. And I realized that, and sometimes they call in to argue with him too. Because he's such a controversial person. I am realizing from listening to a lot of that and to reading a lot of the chat of everyone's chat of how they perceive what is real and what is normal behavior is very problematic, with how people are developing this puritanical view of how other people are. Like, everyone's calling everyone the P word. And they're calling everyone groomers. And they're calling everyone all sorts of names, expecting this kind of like puritanical view of how a person is supposed to behave, how a person actually thinks and stuff. And I go like, okay, you guys are all sad, you guys are all lonely, you guys are all stunted. You guys need to go outside and like have conversations with real people, have relationships with real people, and understand how complicated, uncomfortable, but like that's the beauty
of relating to the humans.
Yes, having friendships and having relationships and like being around other humans. And I just realized that like, wow, these people, they will criticize Mr. Girl from like, that's not normal. The way you behave is not normal. The way you say people will confess some strange things like that aren't so strange, that like, oh, I just felt really mad at my girlfriend and I felt all these things and now I feel really guilty. I'm a bad person. And then he'll just be like, you're not a bad person. That's very, very normal. And then they're like, no, I'm a bad person. I should be more like this and be more like that. And then he'll be like, I think you have an unmeetable standard for yourself. And then they're like, well, other people aren't like that. He's like, other people are exactly like that. What makes you think other people are not as awful as you? In quotes, awful. And then they're like, well, I don't see it. It's like, of course you don't see it. I mean, like, they're not going to show you. But, like, you have enough relationships with people. You have enough conversations and friendships with people. You realize everyone sucks. Everyone is equally awful. We're just awful in different ways. But to pretend like everyone on YouTube and on social media, they're trying to like make themselves out to be like the best kind of person. Oh, I'm so great. Look up to me. Give me money. Give me views. But at the end of the day, we all have our flaws and we're all awful. As long as we're not doing something illegal, then it's fine.
Janet, Liberty Chan.
Yes. All of this reminded me of this conversation I had a while ago with someone. Back when I was like deep in the drama of Hollywood, animation, and people were like just shitting on me for being me. Being the person that quit Disney. And arguably, yes, I would cause, we would like to say things that we know make people in the industry really mad at me. One, because it's true. Two, because you get so mad. It's a little fun to like, to poke the bear a little bit. But at the end of the day,
it's not so fun when the bear's dying.
Yeah, it's so, not, when it's like kicking a dog.
Yeah,
it's
oh,
like,
man,
no, don't do
just
that.
Leave it alone.
Yeah. But like I was having this conversation with this person and she was saying, you should, well, like, would you ever consider having someone who disagrees with you on the podcast? And then she was really trying to push that, like, debate with someone. And then I was just like trying to explain to her that, like, one, you don't understand how difficult it is to get guests on the podcast. Especially at the time we were trying to get a lot of like industry guests and stuff like that, and it's just difficult to like coordinate schedules and stuff like that.
COVID was happening too.
Yes. And we're very adamant about in-person interviews and conversations.
We will not do the Zoom thing.
No.
At least as much as we can help it.
Yes. And then a lot of people just want like to know what you're going to talk about in advance and to prepare their answers. I'm just like, that's not no. So like, first, it's already really difficult to get guests. Secondly, I was kind of sort of a controversial person. When like a lot of people don't want to be associated with me in the industry because for what God knows why, they think it'll affect their jobs or their being or whatever. So unfortunately, like a lot of people who've gotten canceled, I have lost a lot of friends. But I've also realized like they weren't my friends to begin with. I was just some tool for them to use, I guess. So it's fine. But like people do not want to talk to me because one, they don't want to be associated with me. But secondly, people are cowards. I'm sure a lot of people talk a lot of shit about me behind my back. I'm sure they're saying things like, "Oh, I would give her a piece of my mind if I got the chance to," but I can't tell you how many times, especially when I was living in LA, I would make eye contact with someone and they would act very sus. And I'd be like, okay, that's
be watching like a movie in Burbank,
or
hanging out in Glendale or wherever.
They give me the weird like, I recognize you, but is that you? And like, oh my god, kind of look, and then I'd be like, who are you? Leave me alone. And I just like be like shrug it off because I'm dense. I'd be like, I'm just here to get boba and edit my video, and and I just go back to like working in a cafe or something, and then you would tell me like that was really weird. I think those were like animation people and they recognized you or something. I'm telling you, no one has ever come up to me and caused problems. Like when I went viral, I thought people would like I thought I would need to get like security or something.
Yeah, because I think I remember at the time, this was like at the time where you see all sorts of internet personalities get swatted.
Yes.
Or people get that Grammy girl. Jesus Christ. Yeah. God rest her soul.
Yes.
Jesus Christ. So people and fans do all sorts of crazy fucking shit, and you don't know. Right. But then like we soon found out like, oh, it's fine. This is the art community.
Yes. Most people are extremely, extremely cowardly, and it doesn't matter how much shit they will never say it to my face. And I know this. I've lived with this for a few years now, that it's just like, listen to this person I was talking to. You don't understand how difficult it was to just even have lunch with you. No one wants to even do that with me. You think people want to argue with me on camera and debate me? Like, no. Like, people are cowards, okay?
I think when you don't have your reputation and your professionalism on the line, I think you especially can do a lot. Yes. But I think no one else is willing to go that far.
Right.
And there's lines I'm not willing to cross, man.
And, yes.
Oh, but so many lines.
There's lines I'm not willing to cross, but Mr. Girl is, and I'm like, damn dude. Go all the way. And that's another thing that I realized about Mr. Girl too, that I think this person didn't understand. That someone might like talk big game, and they might want to like argue with me behind the scenes, but like when push comes to shove and you're on camera with someone, a lot of the times people soften up and they don't want to be confrontational. I think naturally a lot of people aren't confrontational. So
they are in the recesses of their mind.
Right.
Fantasizing, saying and doing all sorts of things.
So one of the things that aggravates me the most about like these Twitch people is like, I'm so like, once I realize like this is the game, it's all about the interpersonal drama, it's WWE, like I'm ready to like see people fight. I want Mr. Girl to like fight with someone in a weird way. So but then when they're finally on camera together, Mr. Girl's being all confrontational the way he is, and then this other person who I know has been like talking all like mad shit about him, suddenly he's like, oh no, I never said that about you. No, you that's taken out of context. That wasn't really what I was saying about you. No, I would never say that about you. And then I go like, oh my God. So like when you're talking to this guy to his face, you can't just own up to your shit. Like, what is this? And then because these people know how the internet works, they'll go back to their own individual stream.
Dogman shit.
Yeah, and I go like,
come on, man.
Come on. If you talk big game, then bring
it to the table, dude.
So I understood all of this. So I'm having this conversation with this person, and she's trying to convince me I should debate people. And I'm like, listen, I would, but first of all, no one wants to debate me, okay? No one, not in the way that you think. Not in the way that you think is going to get views and whatever. And second of all, that's not my priority here. I think a lot of people, even still now probably, but at the time especially, think that like I was being an edgelord, or I was trying to like do the interpersonal drama thing. The thing of like, I'm going to talk shit, I'm going to get views, I'm going to clickbait, and then I'm going to debate, and then like it's a very egotistical and narcissistic, and it's about like making myself look bad as much as possible to get views. I think she thought that I'm the kind of person that wanted views at any cost and was willing to do controversial things, arguably important things, just to get views and money and all that stuff. And I really it took a lot to try to convince her to understand that like that's not my priority here. Like I'm not being controversial to be controversial. Most of the time I don't even know the things I'm about to say are going to be controversial.
I have to warn you, I think that's going to be controversial.
Yeah, and I go like, no it's not, and then it is, and then people hate me, and then I go like,
and I'd be like, told you.
Okay. I am not trying to do that. And then like when people argue,
I just don't find like, I don't think they're ever going to believe you that you're not doing stuff to be edgy or like for You're not being confrontational for attention or something.
Well, I think what I was trying to get across was like, to me, this is like filmmaking. This is art. The reason why I do not want to get on a live stream, live, to debate with someone is because I'm not trying to convince anyone of anything necessarily. When you're making a movie, you have a thesis. You have your log line, whatever. You have your point of the movie. And the whole entire point of a video or a movie is to get that point across. Is not necessarily to convince anyone of anything, is to just share a perspective, to share my personal perspective. So she kept...
So you're not into the clash at all?
No.
You're not into fighting?
No.
You're into just like manifesting your point of view into a thingy called art.
Yes.
Oh, look, Jan's doing the art thing.
Like, it's more akin to storytelling. I'm telling you the story of my life, of this thing that happened to me. You can't tell me that didn't happen to me, because I mean, like, it literally happened to me. Like, what do you want? And so I'm just trying to be like, look, this thing happened to me. Take it what you will. Make of it what you will. Unfortunately, for whatever reason, a lot of times when I do that, people take it as a personal attack on them, and I go like, no, I'm literally like, I don't care about what you think of it. I don't care about what you think of me. I don't care what you even think about the situation. I'm just trying to tell you a story. And like, and people, like, she was trying to be like, well, like, other people think this about you, or people think this about the animation industry. I'm like, that's fine. I don't care. I'm telling you what I think of it. Like, that's what the video is about. The video is about me. Yes, it's narcissistic. Yes, it's egotistical. But this art is selfish. Art is 100% selfish. And I was just like, I'm just like, this is my perspective. Like, cool that you have a different perspective than mine. That's fine. I'm not trying to argue with you. I'm not trying to bait anyone. I'm just trying to say, like, this was my experience. And I think she fundamentally did not understand that. I think a lot of people fundamentally think that I am attacking them.
They don't want your experience to exist, I think, is fundamentally what it is. Another
thing I was trying to get her to understand is that a lot of these people who want to debate me, in her mind, their goal isn't the innocent goal of like, let's have two sides of an argument and let's debate and see the best argument, let the best argument win. Like the intellectual trying to debate Mr. Girl, a lot of them just want to sniff their own farts. A lot of them just want to see me get humiliated, see them humiliate me and be propped up for it. Like, it's not about the actual argument of who's right and who's wrong, or who thinking deeply about a certain point or topic. It's about them owning me, and they assume it's about me owning them. Whereas, like, if this was genuinely,
like, it's blood sport.
Yes, yes, it's about like the dirtiest moves ever to win. Unfortunately, I'm not like that. Like, if I want to have a debate with someone, I genuinely want to debate with someone. So an example of this, none of you, unless you're in the guild and you're part of the Facebook group, will remember this. But after my Thought Leader music video came out, my core audience really liked it. And then a lot of it got shared on Discord and on Twitter by animation professionals. And because a lot of animation professionals flock to Twitter to gain followings based on their brand name and their bio, they have a lot of followers, and then a lot of simps who don't actually like them, they just want a job. They sent them to come attack the music video. And I'm not so concerned with just random trolls on the internet. I'm like used to it at this point. But I was really thoroughly amused by people who had like Netflix in their bio doing this, like, very openly, very publicly. Like, this is public. Like, you think I'm not gonna find it? Like, you guys clearly don't know how like the YouTube analytics works. I can see where you're coming from. Like, people were like, oh, you're like, what's it called, like searching your own name or something like that. There's a term for it. And I'm like, Listen. The only reason I went and searched my own name was because in the YouTube analytics, while I was doing my analytics report, it said that like 90% of you are coming from Twitter. Guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to like, I wonder why people are coming from Twitter. I'm going to go look it up. And like, it wasn't because like, I'm so self-absorbed. I'm going to look myself up on Twitter randomly.
Yeah, you're not them.
No, yeah, I'm not you. Okay. And then, so naturally I found all these like legitimate like people who worked in the industry where literally I can find your LinkedIn, I can email your employer, I can do a lot of things to like out you. You think I'm not you live in such a bubble, you think I'm not gonna find that shit. So like I found it, and then I was like really amused, and I was like, look at that, like you think you don't talk shit. Like there's some people will say like, oh, we don't talk shit, we're such good people, we don't talk shit about each other on the, and then like,
oh my god, they're the worst.
Yeah, they're the worst. Come on.
The worst.
So then I like screen capped it.
You can all see this on Janet's LinkedIn, by the way, I think. Still.
Oh, did I? Oh yeah, I think I did.
Yeah, it's still there. So if you want to know what Janet's talking about, visit her LinkedIn. Janet LinkedIn.
Oh my god. Yeah, I didn't want to, but you convinced me to put it on LinkedIn because
you want it to hurt?
Yeah, you were like,
you want it to hurt. I know how to make it hurt.
Yeah. See, like the cruel person here, you think it's me. It's not me. It's not me.
I know how to make these people hurt.
So I went to the animation guild and I posted the screenshots, and I'm like, I said something like, look, this is a great example you're setting for everyone. You people. And then immediately a lot of people started piling on me in the guild thing. But there's one particular person that I remember. He is the reason why I decided like, yeah, I do need to move on. Because this is not a fight that is worth fighting. Because if you, the animation student, think any of these people care about you, oh, you're sorely mistaken.
They want your money, dude.
After this conversation, I was
animation people want your money because they're losing money.
I was like, oh, so none of you care. I basically was voicing my concerns about like, it upsets me that I was lied to. I was convinced of this dream that I thought was amazing, and it's full of people like this fucking dunking on me just because I made fun of you in a stupid thought leader music video where I'm literally also making fun of myself, and like I'm concerned that these students are getting duped, and none of you care, and none of you guys are cruel. You call me cruel? You guys are cruel.
That's cruel. That's cruel. Promising people something.
Yeah.
And then like creating a whole industry around something.
Yeah, and then pretending like you're holier than thou when you're behaving like this. You're like sending your legions of simps to like come attack me just for like making fun of you a little bit. Like I didn't even go that far. There's a lot of stuff I cut out in the lyrics, okay? The response from this guy, I was genuinely like sad. I was like, I'm sad that none of you care. I'm genuinely trying, like, if you had legitimate criticisms for me, none of you have ever voiced it to me, especially to my face. You just are comfortable talking shit about me behind my back, and I don't find that mature, and I don't find that persuasive, and I find like you are exactly the snakes that I said you were. And he was basically just dunking on me the whole time. He was like, well, I'm sorry you don't have friends. I'm sorry you don't have anyone who is brave enough to like tell it to your face. So I'm going to say it now. You're a joke and stuff like that. And I was just like, and I even said like, you don't care about these students. And he was like, no, like they don't. He straight up said he does not give two shits. He just wanted to dunk on me. And this is in the guild, the private union animation.
Oh, did you see the guild? Or like, how to buy a house?
Yes.
Since when did the guild give two shits about buying a house?
It's also not like
not related to guild shit at all. I don't understand why we received that email. I'm just like, gee, like, what is going on here?
I don't know. But that was when I was like, see, that's the thing. Like, this person probably like patted himself on the back, like got a lot of people to be like, oh, I showed her whatever. And I'm like, I literally don't care. Like, people make fun of me all the time. I don't care. I felt very much like, you know what? In a weird way, he is right. I need to move on, because clearly you all, I'm talking about you animation people, very obsessed with me. I do not give two shits about you, okay? I have moved on.
It's amusing to watch it fail.
Yes.
You know, that's funny, because you were acting all high and mighty now, and now you're trying to recommend each other for shows that don't exist.
Yes. And or like sinking with the ship that you desperately tied yourself to. After that moment, I was like, oh, you don't care. The students don't care. Other personal experiences I've experienced since then convinced me that, like, yes, it takes two to tango. And, like, I got better shit to do with my life. Like, I don't want to be a martyr. And I don't want to be the person fighting someone else's cause. So I was like, you know what? I need to live my life. I need to move to Arizona, buy my dream house, get this view. Like, I had so many other better things looking forward for me to look forward to, that I was like, yeah, this, like, I was trying to explain to this other person that I'm having this conversation with, who wants me to like debate people, that like, you don't understand. If I have a conversation with these people, that's what they're gonna do. Like, they're not.
It's just gonna be blood sport.
Yeah, and they're just trying to. It's
not like solving solutions, making piece of great art.
If this person was like, no, I genuinely care about students and I think you're a bad role model, I'll be like, yeah, okay, whatever. But like, that wasn't what he was saying. He literally was just trying to demean me for social points. And I was like, okay, I hope you got your social points. Like, I don't care. Bye. So that is why I think live streaming is harmful to your mental health, whether you're watching it, whether you're creating it. And I guess I'm not going to say I'm never going to do it, but I really don't want to. I don't think I want to ever do live streaming.
I don't see the connection with all these stories and live streaming.
This person wanted me to live stream. They wanted me to debate someone.
I see.
Because it would be different if, like, let's say we're gonna have someone on a podcast. So
you're saying, like, live streaming, the whole thing isn't even about solutions.
No,
it's about exhibitionism.
Yes,
I see.
It's about performativeness. It's about dunking on someone. It's about fakeness. It's about drama for money and views and all that stuff, where I truly am like, I don't care. I want to make my art.
Janet just wants to live her best life.
I want to live my best life, and I want to make art. And I also think I feel really bad for people who are obsessively consuming this, and I think it's melting your brain. I think you think reality is different than what it actually is. Like, I think you need to go outside. The recommendation for this week is to go outside and touch grass.
Go outside, touch grass.
You guys need to experience some life,
nature,
and people, and love each other, and
make love.
Yes, I don't know.
Not like the animation people.
No.
Capable of making love.
No.
Make love, not hate.
So
we recommend that you go outside and touch grass.
If you like this episode, make sure to like, subscribe, jingle all our bells and buttons. Check out these other episodes to binge all our other episodes, and we will see you next time.
Bye-bye.